Hey everyone, it's Amy Wengerd with the Amy Wengerd Group at eXp Realty, and this video might take a little longer than my normal ones, but that's okay. There's a very important message to get across to all buyers and sellers who are going to be entering the market here shortly. And this scenario is to paint a picture for everyone about our prior market 3 to 6 months ago versus the real estate market that we are dealing in right now. And I think you'll find this very interesting. So here we go. 3 to 6 months ago, a $200,000 house might sell for $235,000. That was very realistic. Interest rates back then, maybe 3.5% was what we were seeing. This particular buyer in situation number one waived all the inspections, offered a $5,000 appraisal gap, and offered $5,000 toward the seller's closing cost. They let the seller stay in the home for 60 days after closing and let the seller take that new fridge that they just bought. The buyers closed in 27 days, which is very quick, in order to make their offer stand out to the homeowners. Buyer number one, their offer gets accepted. Their new payment is about $1,428 per month. Great. However, right now, in our current real estate market, and yes, the interest rates have risen, but listen to this. Let's kind of play that same scenario. So they buy a $200,000 house. They paid $210,000 instead of $235,000. The interest rate, yes, it is higher, maybe around 5.4%. They feel it will appraise because of all the elevated home sales in the area, so they don't offer $5,000 toward an appraisal gap. They do an inspection just for buyers' informational purposes only. Sellers pay their closing costs, buyers pay their closing costs, so they're not paying that additional $5,000 toward the seller's cost. They close in the typical 40 days, and they give the seller 10 days in order to vacate the home. Their monthly payment, buyer number two, is $1,538. And yes, that's $110 more than buyer number one. However, pay attention. Since buyer number two did not pay for an appraisal gap or seller closing costs, they now have $10,000 extra versus offer number one. They're going to take $6,000 of that and they're going to buy down their interest rate. So they're going to take their interest rate from 5.4 to approximately 4.65, making their payment $1,440, which, yes, you heard me right, that is $12 more than it was 3 to 6 months ago. Not only that, they kept the other $4,000 that they didn't spend on the appraisal gap and the seller closing cost to use toward just future home improvements that you know every home buyer needs and needs that extra money. They also saved an additional monthly payment of $1,428 by not having to give the sellers 60 days in possession. The sellers left the fridge, which saved the buyers another $1,800. They found mold in the attic during the inspection, and the sellers decided to take care of that mold since they would have to disclose it anyway, and they really didn't want to put the house back on the market. That saved buyer number two another $1,200. So, buyers saved $25,000 on the initial sale price, $4,000 left over from no appraisal gap or seller closing cost, $1,800 on average for a fridge, $1,428 by not having to make that extra mortgage payment from giving the sellers additional possession time, and $1,200 toward mold treatment. All in all, buyer number two, with the high elevated interest rates, saved about $33,000 from some quick calculations. So, also, the sellers in these situations are very happy because they still got more than their asking price in a very quick and short period of time. And because more inventory is now freeing up, those sellers that sold their house can now more easily go and purchase that brand new house. So, like we've been saying for months and months and months, we have been waiting for this market to start balancing out. We have been wanting this to be a more equal market, a more healthy market, and we are starting to see signs of that. So please, please, please don't let just interest rates of 5 to 6% scare you away from realizing the dream of home ownership or getting top dollar out of your current home. We are still doing this every day, and this message needs to get out. So obviously these situations were hypothetical, but they're still very, very true and accurate to what we have been experiencing in our market for the last, quite honestly, 2 to 3 years. So call us, let us strategize a customized plan for you, whether you're going to buy, sell, or do both at the same time. That is what we do, and hopefully this scenario and hypotheticals help make some sense of the market and what's going on, and we'll keep you posted.